The morning sun cast long shadows across the parking lot of Lincoln High School in Denver, Colorado. Maya Rodriguez stood at her bedroom window, watching as families began arriving for the graduation ceremony. Her cap and gown hung on the closet door, pristine and waiting. She'd ironed them twice last night, unable to sleep from the anticipation. "Today's the day," she whispered to herself, checking her phone for the 100th time. No messages from her parents. The last text from her mother had been 3 days ago. "Working on a big deal in Tokyo. We'll try to make it back." Maya's fingers trembled as she applied her mascara. 4 years of straight A's, captain of the debate team, valedictorian of her class, and her parents might not even be there to see her walk across that stage. She blinked hard, refusing to let tears ruin her makeup. Downstairs, her grandmother Rosa was already dressed in her best Sunday outfit, a purple dress with matching hat. "Mija, you look beautiful," she said in her accented English, adjusting Maya's graduation stole. "They will regret missing this." "They always miss everything, abuela," Maya replied, her voice steady despite the ache in her chest. "Dad missed my science fair win in freshman year for a conference in London. Mom missed my debate championship for a merger in Singapore." Rosa's weathered hands cupped Maya's face. "But I am here. I have always been here." The drive to school was quiet, except for the oldies station Rosa preferred. Maya watched familiar streets pass by, remembering all the time she'd walked to school alone while other kids got dropped off by their parents. She'd learned early that the Rodriguez family fortune came with a price: her parents' absence. As they pulled into the school parking lot, Maya scanned the crowd of families taking photos, adjusting caps, sharing proud tears. Her phone buzzed. Her heart leaped. Maybe they'd made it after all. It was her father. "Stuck in customs. Mom's flight delayed. We're so proud of you, sweetheart. Bought you something special to make up for it. Check your account." Maya stared at the screen, feeling hollow. Another deposit. Another attempt to buy forgiveness with money. She switched off her phone and shoved it into her purse. 3 minutes until lineup!" Mr. Patterson, the assistant principal, called out. Maya joined her classmates in the staging area behind the gymnasium. Her best friend Jasmine bounced over, practically glowing with excitement. "Can you believe it? We actually made it. Are your parents here? My mom's already crying and the ceremony hasn't even started." "They're running late," Maya lied smoothly. She'd perfected this lie over the years. Running late sounded better than "chose work over me again." The procession began, and Maya focused on walking steadily in her heels. The gymnasium was transformed with blue and gold decorations, packed with families. She searched the crowd as she walked, hoping against hope to see 2 familiar faces. Her assigned seat was in the front row, a perk of being valedictorian. She had a perfect view of the audience. Rosa sat in the 3rd row, tiny among the crowd but beaming with pride. The 2 seats beside her remained empty. Maya's mother's designer jacket draped over one to save it. Principal Williams took the podium. "Welcome, families and graduates, to Lincoln High School's 147th commencement ceremony." Maya's mind drifted as speaker after speaker talked about bright futures and endless possibilities. What they didn't mention was how those possibilities felt meaningless when the people who should care most weren't there to witness them. And now, I'd like to invite our valedictorian, Maya Rodriguez, to deliver her address. The walk to the podium felt like miles. Maya gripped her speech cards, the ones she'd practiced in front of the mirror for weeks. She'd written about perseverance, about dreams, about the support systems that made success possible. Now the words felt like ash in her mouth. She looked out at the sea of faces, parents holding up phones, siblings fidgeting in uncomfortable clothes, grandparents dabbing at tears. And there was Rosa, standing now, clutching her purse, pride radiating from every inch of her 4'11" frame. Maya set aside her prepared cards. 4 years ago," she began, her voice clear and strong, "I walked into this building believing that success meant perfect grades, prestigious colleges, and making my parents proud. I thought if I achieved enough, accomplished enough, won enough awards, I could earn—" Her voice caught slightly. "I could earn their presence." A hush fell over the gymnasium. This wasn't the typical valedictorian speech. But this building taught me something different. Mr. Chen stayed after school every Tuesday to help me with calculus, even though he wasn't paid extra. Ms. Martinez bought supplies for our debate team out of her own pocket. Coach Williams drove me home after late practices when no one could pick me up. Maya's eyes found Rosa again. And my grandmother, who never missed a single parent-teacher conference, who learned enough English to help me with homework even though she'd never finished high school herself. She taught me that showing up is love. Being present is love. She could see some parents shifting uncomfortably, perhaps recognizing themselves in her words. So to my fellow graduates, I want to say this. Success isn't measured by the achievements that look good on paper. It's measured by the connections we make, the people we lift up, and the love we show by simply being there. The greatest gift you can give someone isn't money or opportunities. It's your time, your presence, your attention. Maya paused, gathering strength for her conclusion. This building, these walls, have been more of a parent to me than... She stopped, rewording. This place raised me. These teachers, these janitors, these lunch ladies, they're the village that made sure no child was left behind. Especially when the people who should have been there weren't. The gymnasium erupted in applause. Maya returned to her seat on shaky legs, feeling exposed but strangely liberated. She'd said what she'd held inside for 4 years. The rest of the ceremony blurred past. When they called her name to receive her diploma, Rosa's cheer cut through all the others. Maya held the diploma high, not for the cameras, not for social media, but for the woman who'd made peanut butter sandwiches for her lunch every day since kindergarten. After the ceremony, families clustered for photos. Maya stood with Jasmine's family, then with Rosa alone. Teachers came by to congratulate her, many with tears in their eyes from her speech. That took courage, Ms. Martinez said, hugging her tightly. I'm proud of you. Mr. Chen pressed a small wrapped gift into her hands. For college, he said gruffly. And Maya? They're the ones missing out. As the crowd thinned, Maya walked with Rosa through the halls one last time. Her fingers traced the lockers, the trophy cases, the bulletin board still decorated with senior photos. You know what, Abuela? Maya said suddenly. This place saved me. When Mom and Dad couldn't be bothered, this building and everyone in it made sure I didn't fall through the cracks. Rosa squeezed her hand. It is a special place. Maya's phone buzzed with congratulations texts from her parents, promises of a celebration dinner when they returned, apologies wrapped in excuses. She scrolled past them to check her bank account, curious about her father's special gift. The number made her gasp. $2 million sat in her account, transferred an hour ago. The memo line read, "For our brilliant daughter, sorry we couldn't make it." Maya stared at the number, feeling a strange mix of anger and possibility stirring in her chest. They thought money could fix everything, could make up for every missed moment. But what if she could use their guilt gift for something that actually mattered? Abuela, she said slowly, an idea taking shape. What if I could make sure no other kid at Lincoln ever feels forgotten? Rosa looked at her curiously. What do you mean, mija? Maya's eyes swept over the building, seeing it with new eyes, not just as the place that raised her, but as a place that could do so much more with the right resources. A plan began forming, crazy and audacious and perfect. I mean, Maya said, a determined smile spreading across her face. What if I bought it? The security guard was locking the main doors as they left. Maya turned back for one last look at Lincoln High School, her mind already racing with possibilities. Her parents had given her money to assuage their guilt. She'd use it to ensure this building could continue being the parent other kids needed. Sometimes the best revenge wasn't anger or resentment. Sometimes it was taking the thing meant to buy your forgiveness and transforming it into something that actually mattered. Maya Rodriguez, abandoned daughter of billionaires, was going to buy her real home, the place that had never let her down. As they drove away, Rosa humming softly beside her, Maya began making plans. She'd need lawyers, financial advisors, a business plan. But first, she'd need to find out if a school building was even for sale. The school district had been complaining about budget cuts for years. Maybe they'd be willing to listen to an offer they couldn't refuse. 6 weeks after graduation, Maya sat in the gleaming conference room of Hartley & Associates, Denver's most prestigious law firm. Her navy blue suit was new, purchased with her own money from her summer job at a local bookstore, not her parents' guilt deposits. Across the mahogany table, 3 lawyers in $1,000 suits examined her proposal with barely concealed skepticism. Ms. Rodriguez, the senior partner James Hartley adjusted his wire-rimmed glasses. You're 18 years old. What you're proposing is unprecedented. Maya straightened her spine. Being young doesn't make me wrong, Mr. Hartley. The Denver School District is facing a $30 million budget shortfall. They're considering closing Lincoln High and 2 elementary schools. I'm offering a solution. By purchasing the building? Catherine Chen, the real estate specialist, flipped through Maya's meticulously prepared folder. The district doesn't typically sell active school buildings to private entities. They do when the alternative is shutting down and busing kids 40 minutes across town, Maya countered. She'd done her homework, spending every day since graduation researching, planning, preparing. I'm not proposing to close Lincoln High. I'm proposing to save it. The third lawyer, David Martinez, leaned forward. Walk us through your plan again. Maya pulled out her laptop, displaying the presentation she'd refined dozens of times. The Rodriguez Educational Foundation would purchase the building and lease it back to the district for $1 per year. We'd handle all maintenance, upgrades, and supplementary programming. The district keeps their school, saves millions in facility costs, and the students get resources the district can't afford. And your parents support this? Hartley asked carefully. Maya's jaw tightened. Her parents were still in Tokyo, having extended their trip for another acquisition. They'd sent flowers for her graduation, 2 weeks late. I have full access to my trust fund as of my 18th birthday. The $2 million they transferred is mine to use as I see fit. $2 million won't be enough, Catherine noted. The building alone is valued at $8.5 million, and that's not counting the renovations you're proposing. I know, Maya clicked to her financial projections. That's why I'm also applying for historical preservation grants. Lincoln High is eligible for landmark status. I'm seeking corporate sponsorships from Denver businesses who benefit from Lincoln's workforce development programs. And, she paused, knowing this next part was risky. I'm prepared to liquidate my college fund. The lawyers exchanged glances. You're willing to give up Harvard for this? Martinez asked. Harvard will still be there in a few years, Maya replied. But if Lincoln closes next summer, 1,200 kids lose their school. 68 teachers and staff lose their jobs, and a community loses its heart. Hartley removed his glasses, cleaning them slowly. Why, Ms. Rodriguez? Why does this matter so much to you? Maya thought of empty seats at every school play, of eating Thanksgiving dinner in the cafeteria with other kids whose parents were traveling for business, of Ms. Martinez keeping extra snacks in her desk drawer because she knew Maya often forgot lunch money despite having millionaire parents. Because Lincoln High raised me when my parents couldn't be bothered, she said simply. Now I want to make sure it can keep raising kids who need it. After the lawyers agreed to take her case, Maya drove to Lincoln High. Summer school was in session, and she recognized several students lounging on the front steps. The building looked tired in the harsh July sun, peeling paint, a broken window on the third floor patched with cardboard, weeds growing through cracks in the concrete. Maya! Yo, Maya! She turned to see Deshaun Williams jogging toward her. He'd been a freshman when she was a senior, a kid she'd tutored in geometry. What you doing here? Thought you'd be at Harvard by now. Taking a gap year, she said. How's summer school? Deshaun shrugged. Hot. Mr. Chen's air conditioning broke again. We've been doing math in the cafeteria. He studied her curiously. That speech you gave at graduation? My mom recorded it. She plays it for everyone. Says you spoke truth. Inside, the building felt like an oven. Maya made her way to the principal's office, noting every broken tile, every flickering light, every sign of a school struggling to survive on a shoestring budget. Principal Williams looked up from a stack of budget reports, his face lighting up when he saw her. Maya, what brings you back to our halls? I need to talk to you about something important, Maya said, closing the door behind her. About Lincoln's future. An hour later, Principal Williams sat in stunned silence. Maya had laid out her entire plan, the purchase, the foundation, the renovations, the programs she wanted to implement. You're serious, he said finally. You actually want to buy the school. I want to save the school, Maya corrected. Do you think the school board would consider it? Williams rubbed his face, looking older than his 55 years. Maya, I've been fighting to keep this place open for 5 years. Every year the budget gets smaller. Every year we lose more teachers. Last month they told me to prepare for possible closure. He looked at her with something like hope. If you can pull this off, it would be a miracle. I don't believe in miracles, Maya said. I believe in hard work and good planning. Will you help me? He stood, extending his hand. Every step of the way. Over the next 3 weeks, Maya barely slept. She met with school board members, community leaders, local business owners. She attended neighborhood meetings, presenting her vision to skeptical parents and cautious teachers. Rosa became her unofficial assistant, making coffee for late-night planning sessions and offering wisdom in Spanish when Maya felt overwhelmed. Poco a poco se va lejos, she'd say. Little by little, one goes far. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Walter Morrison, owner of Morrison Construction and a Lincoln High alum from 1973, sat across from Maya at a local diner, his coffee growing cold as he listened to her pitch. My grandson goes to Lincoln, he said finally. Smart kid wants to be an engineer. If the school closes, he'd have to bus to East High. That's gang territory. Maya nodded. She'd mapped out exactly how school closure would affect every student. Lincoln's not just a building, Mr. Morrison. It's a safe haven. What would you need from me? Donated construction services for the renovations. In exchange, the new computer lab would bear your company's name. And we'd create a construction trades program with Morrison Construction as the primary partner. Walter's weathered face broke into a smile. My daddy was a bricklayer, said education was the only way up. I'll do you one better. I'll get the whole Contractors Association on board. Momentum built quickly after that. The Denver Post ran a feature story. Recent graduate aims to buy her high school. Donations started trickling in. $50 from a retired teacher, $500 from a local restaurant owner, $5,000 from a tech startup founder who credited Lincoln High with changing his life. But Maya knew small donations wouldn't be enough. She needed major funding, and that meant doing something she'd avoided since graduation, contacting her parents' business associates. On a humid Thursday evening, she sat in her childhood bedroom, staring at her phone. Her parents were in London now, according to their assistant. They'd sent texts asking about her college plans, seemingly unaware she hadn't enrolled for fall semester. Instead of calling them, Maya scrolled through her contacts to find Richard Stone, CEO of Stone Development Group and her father's golf buddy. He answered on the second ring. Maya? Marcus's daughter? What can I do for you? 20 minutes later, she'd secured a meeting. Stone was intrigued by the idea of tax benefits from supporting education initiatives. Your father never mentioned you were interested in real estate, he mused. My father doesn't know what I'm interested in, Maya replied evenly. The August school board meeting was standing room only. Maya sat in the front row, surrounded by supporters. Principal Williams, Walter Morrison, dozens of teachers, hundreds of parents and students. The atmosphere was electric with nervous energy. Item 7 on the agenda, the board president announced. Proposal for private purchase of Lincoln High School facility. Maya approached the podium, her heart hammering. She'd practiced this presentation 100 times, but now, with everything on the line, her mouth felt dry. Good evening. My name is Maya Rodriguez, Lincoln High Class of 2024. I'm here to save my school. She presented for 30 minutes, outlining every detail. The financial structure, a nonprofit foundation purchasing the building and leasing it back. The renovation plans, new HVAC systems, updated technology, restored auditorium. The programs, extended day tutoring, weekend community classes, summer youth employment. Lincoln High didn't just educate me, she concluded. It raised me. It gave me teachers who stayed late, janitors who knew my name, lunch ladies who made sure I ate even when I forgot my money. This building is more than bricks and mortar. It's a promise that every child matters, that every student deserves a chance, that no one gets left behind. The board peppered her with questions. How would she ensure academic standards? What about district oversight? Could she guarantee long-term funding? Maya answered each concern methodically, grateful for the hours of preparation. Behind her, she could feel the crowd's energy, their hope mixed with fear. We'll take a brief recess before voting, the board president announced. In the hallway, Maya was swarmed by supporters. Deshawn's mother grabbed her hands. You're an angel, baby. An angel. Ms. Martinez hugged her tightly. Whatever happens, I'm proud of you. Rosa stood quietly by the water fountain, her rosary beads moving through her fingers. When Maya approached, she simply said, "To Mama called." She saw the news article. Maya's stomach clenched. What did she say? She wants to know why you're not at Harvard. Did you tell her? Rosa's eyes sparkled. I told her you were getting a different kind of education. When they reconvened, the boardroom fell silent. Maya could hear her own heartbeat as the president cleared her throat. The board has serious concerns about this unprecedented proposal, she began. Maya's heart sank. However, we also recognize the dire financial situation facing our district. Lincoln High is scheduled for closure next summer unless we find $15 million in funding. She paused, scanning the room. Ms. Rodriguez has presented a thorough, well-researched proposal that could save the district millions while keeping Lincoln High open. The vote was not unanimous, but the majority agrees. We will enter negotiations for the sale of Lincoln High School to the Rodriguez Educational Foundation, pending final funding verification and legal review. The room exploded. People hugged, cried, cheered. Principal Williams lifted Maya off her feet in a bear hug. Through the chaos, Maya felt her phone vibrating. A text from her mother. What have you done? Another from her father. Call me immediately. Maya deleted both messages. She'd deal with them later. Right now, she was surrounded by her real family. The community that had raised her, supported her, believed in her. Outside, the August moon hung full over Lincoln High. The building looked different somehow, less tired, more hopeful. Or maybe that was just Maya's imagination. You did it, Mija, Rosa said quietly beside her. I haven't done anything yet, Maya replied. The real work starts now. She had 30 days to finalize funding, complete legal requirements, and prove to the board she could deliver on her promises. Her parents would inevitably find out she'd liquidated her college fund. The construction would be complex, the programming ambitious, the challenge enormous. But standing there, watching students and parents celebrate in the parking lot, Maya felt more certain than ever. She'd been abandoned by the people who should have loved her most, but she'd been caught by this community. Now it was her turn to catch others. Walter Morrison approached, a roll of blueprints under his arm. Ready to get to work? I've got some ideas for that computer lab. Maya grinned. Let's build something amazing. As the crowd dispersed, she noticed a figure standing by the flagpole. Mr. Chen, her old calculus teacher. He gave her a small nod, a gesture that somehow meant more than all the cheers and congratulations. Lincoln High had given her everything when her parents gave her nothing but money. Now she'd use that money to ensure it could keep giving to others. It wasn't revenge. It was redemption. Transformation, love in action. The building stood solid against the night sky, waiting for its rebirth. And Maya Rodriguez, no longer the abandoned daughter but the architect of dreams, was ready to begin. The demolition began on a crisp September morning. Maya stood in a hard hat and steel-toed boots, watching as Walter Morrison's crew carefully removed asbestos tiles from the third-floor science labs. 3 weeks had passed since the school board's approval. 3 weeks of nonstop legal negotiations, permit applications, and funding meetings that left her exhausted but exhilarated. We've got a problem. David Martinez, her lawyer, approached with a grim expression. Your parents are back from London. Maya's stomach dropped. She'd known this moment would come, had tried to prepare for it, but hearing the words still sent anxiety coursing through her veins. Are they at the house? They're at my office, with their legal team. Of course they were. Elena and Marcus Rodriguez didn't do confrontations over kitchen tables like normal parents. They did them in conference rooms with attorneys present. I need an hour, Maya said, pulling off her hard hat. Tell them I'll be there at 11. As she drove across Denver, Maya tried to steady her breathing. She'd withdrawn $1.2 million from her college fund, liquidated the stocks her grandfather had left her, and leveraged almost every asset she had access to. Her parents had been too busy with their international deals to notice their daughter was restructuring her entire financial future. The law office felt arctic after the dusty warmth of the construction site. Her parents sat at the conference table like twin ice sculptures. Her mother in a white Chanel suit, her father in charcoal Armani. They looked like they'd stepped out of a business magazine, untouchable and remote. Maya, her mother's voice could have frozen flame. Sit down. Maya remained standing. Maya remained. Hello, Mom. Dad. How was London? Don't. Her father's jaw was tight. You withdrew your entire college fund. You liquidated your grandfather's stocks. You're using the graduation money we gave you to buy a building? I'm using it to save a school, Maya corrected. You're throwing away your future. Elena's composure cracked slightly. Harvard is holding your spot, but not forever. You're destroying everything we've built for you. Everything you've built? Maya laughed, but there was no humor in it. You haven't built anything for me except a bank account. You weren't there when I learned to read, when I broke my arm in 3rd grade, when I won the state science fair. Lincoln High built me. Those teachers, that community, they're the ones who showed up. Marcus leaned back, his CEO face firmly in place. You're being emotional. This is a business decision, and it's a poor one. That building is a money pit. The district is failing. You're investing in a sinking ship. I'm investing in people, Maya shot back. Something you might understand if you ever stayed in one place long enough to form actual connections. Watch your tone, Elena warned. We're still your parents. When? Maya's voice broke despite her efforts to stay strong. When are you my parents? Between board meetings? During layovers? On the rare Sunday when Tokyo and London markets are closed? The room fell silent. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, Maya could see Denver spreading out below, the city where she'd grown up essentially orphaned despite having 2 living parents. David Martinez cleared his throat. Perhaps we could discuss the legal ramifications. There's nothing to discuss, Marcus interrupted. Maya is 18. Legally, she can destroy her future if she chooses. But he fixed his daughter with a stare that had intimidated Fortune 500 CEOs. We can make this very difficult. That money was intended for your education. It is being used for education, Maya replied. Just not mine alone. That money is going to provide computers for kids who share outdated textbooks. It's going to fix heating systems so students don't have to wear coats in class. It's going to save your speech. Elena cut her off. We've read the news articles. Our daughter, the teenage philanthropist. Do you have any idea how this looks to our business associates? And there it was. Maya felt the last of her hope die. Even now, faced with losing her, they cared more about appearances than understanding. It looks like someone in the Rodriguez family actually gives a damn about something other than profit margins. Maya said quietly. I'm not asking for your approval. I'm not even asking for your understanding. I'm just informing you of my decision. She turned to leave, then paused at the door. You know what the saddest part is? If you'd just shown up, even once, to see what Lincoln High meant to me, you'd understand why I'm doing this. But you never did, and now you never will. The ride back to Lincoln High was a blur of tears and determination. Maya pulled into the parking lot just as lunch was ending. Summer school had finished and the building was empty except for construction crews. In 2 weeks, the fall semester would begin, and she'd promised the board that basic renovations would be complete. You okay, boss? Walter Morrison asked as she returned to the construction zone. Boss. The crew had started calling her that, half joking at first, but lately with genuine respect. These men, some old enough to be her grandfather, had accepted her leadership because she showed up every day, learned their names, brought coffee and donuts, and never asked them to do anything she wouldn't do herself. I'm good, she lied, picking up her hard hat. How's the asbestos removal going? Ahead of schedule, but we've got another problem. Walter led her to the basement, where water damage had rotted through several support beams. This wasn't in the initial inspection. We're looking at another $50,000 minimum. Maya stared at the damage, calculating rapidly. They were already stretched thin. The corporate sponsors had come through, but most donations were earmarked for specific projects. She needed unrestricted funds. I'll figure it out, she said, projecting more confidence than she felt. That evening, Maya sat in the empty cafeteria with her laptop, surrounded by spreadsheets and legal documents. Rosa brought her dinner, homemade tamales and rice, and sat quietly nearby, knitting. Abuela, Maya said suddenly, am I crazy? Am I destroying my life like they said? Rosa set down her knitting. When you were 7, you found a bird with a broken wing. You begged me to help save it. We made a little nest in a shoebox, fed it with an eyedropper. Your parents said it was a waste of time, that the bird would die anyway. I remember, Maya smiled faintly. We named him Valentine. And when his wing healed, when we released him and he flew away, you cried because you were so happy. Rosa's eyes were warm. You have always wanted to fix broken things, Mija. Not because it's logical or profitable, but because it's right. That is not crazy. That is brave. Maya's phone rang. She didn't recognize the number. Ms. Rodriguez? This is Patricia Nguyen from the Denver Post. I'm working on a follow-up story about your Lincoln High project. I understand you met with your parents today? Maya's chest tightened. How did you? Your father's assistant confirmed they've returned from London specifically to address your financial decisions. Would you like to comment? No comment, Maya said firmly and hung up. Within an hour, her phone was buzzing nonstop. Reporters, bloggers, even a producer from a national morning show. The story was picking up traction. Billionaire parents try to stop daughter's school purchase. Maya turned off her phone and focused on the immediate crisis, finding $50,000 for structural repairs. At midnight, a knock on the cafeteria door startled her. Principal Williams entered, looking concerned. Maya, go home. You can't solve everything tonight. If I don't solve it, we can't open on time. If we don't open on time, the board could revoke the sale. Maya rubbed her exhausted eyes. I can't fail them, Mr. Williams. All those kids counting on Lincoln staying open, I can't fail them. Williams sat beside her, studying the financial projections. You know, in 20 years of education, I've seen a lot of people make promises to help our students. Politicians, celebrities, business leaders. They show up for the photo op and disappear. But you're here at midnight trying to figure out how to fix support beams? Those support beams are holding up more than a building, Maya said. I know. He pulled out his phone. Which is why I'm calling my brother-in-law. He runs a structural engineering firm. Let me see what kind of deal we can work out. As Williams made his call, Maya felt a hand on her shoulder. Walter Morrison had returned, along with 3 other contractors. Couldn't help but overhear about the beam situation, Walter said. The boys and I talked. We'll do the work at cost, no markup, and we'll defer payment until your next round of funding comes through. Maya's eyes filled with tears. Walter, I can't ask you to... You're not asking, we're offering. One of the other contractors, a burly man named Jim, spoke up. My daughter graduated from Lincoln 5 years ago, first in our family to go to college. This place matters. Over the next few days, the community support intensified even as the media attention grew more invasive. Maya found reporters camped outside the school, trying to spin a narrative of poor little rich girl rebels against parents. She refused all interviews, focusing on the work. But her parents weren't done. On Thursday, a certified letter arrived at the construction site. Elena and Marcus were establishing their own educational foundation, pledging $10 million to Denver schools, specifically excluding Lincoln High. The press release emphasized their commitment to responsible philanthropy and strategic educational investments, a clear rebuke of Maya's efforts. "They're trying to make you look like an impulsive child," David Martinez explained over the phone. "To contrast their mature approach with your reckless one." Maya crumpled the letter, then smoothed it out again. "Let them. I've got work to do." The structural repairs began immediately, the contractors working overtime to stay on schedule. Maya worked alongside them, learning to use power tools, hauling debris, doing whatever was needed. Her hands grew calloused. Her designer clothes were replaced by work boots and jeans, and she'd never felt more like herself. One evening, as Maya was reviewing paint samples for the classrooms, Deshaun Williams appeared in the doorway. "Ms. Maya, can I talk to you?" "Of course." "And it's just Maya. I'm not a teacher." Deshaun sat nervously. "My mom lost her job last week. She's been looking, but we might have to move. If I change schools my senior year, I'll lose my spot on the basketball team. Scouts are coming this season. It's my only shot at college." Maya's heart ached. This was why Lincoln mattered, not just as a building, but as a stability in unstable lives. "Give me your mom's number. Morrison Construction needs office help. I can't promise anything, but I'll make some calls." As Deshaun left with renewed hope, Maya realized this was what her parents had never understood. Success wasn't measured in millions. It was measured in moments like this, in being able to help one kid stay in school, one family stay afloat. Her phone buzzed with a text from her mother. "Final chance. Stop this nonsense and we'll reinstate your college fund." Maya deleted the message without responding. She'd made her choice. The building around her, with its exposed beams and half-painted walls, its memories and possibilities, was her education now. Every problem solved. Every obstacle overcome. Every small victory was teaching her more than any Ivy League classroom could. Outside, the September sun set over Denver, painting Lincoln High in shades of gold and possibility. In 10 days, students would walk these halls again. The computers might not all be installed. The auditorium might still need work, but the doors would open. Maya Rodriguez, abandoned daughter, was building something her parents' money couldn't buy. A home for those who needed one, a chance for those who deserved one, and a future for a community that refused to give up. The real foundation wasn't in the basement beams they were replacing. It was in the connections being forged, the trust being built, the love being poured into every brick and board. And that foundation would hold. Dawn broke over Lincoln High School on the first day of the fall semester. Maya stood in the main hallway, breathing in the smell of fresh paint and new beginnings. The past 2 weeks had been a blur of final inspections, last-minute repairs, and sleepless nights. But they'd made it. "Nerviosa?" Rosa asked, appearing beside her with a thermos of coffee. "Terrified," Maya admitted, accepting the coffee gratefully. "What if something goes wrong? What if the students hate the changes? What if everything goes right?" Rosa interrupted gently. "Have faith, mija." At 6:30 a.m., the first bus arrived. Maya watched from the entrance as students poured out, their reactions immediately visible. Eyes widened at the repainted exterior, the new windows gleaming in the morning sun, the restored marquee proudly displaying, "Welcome back, Lions." "Yo, this the same school?" a sophomore asked his friend, genuine amazement in his voice. Inside, the transformations were even more dramatic. The hallways, once dim and institutional, now featured bright accent walls and school colors. Display cases showed student artwork and achievements. Most importantly, the building was cool, the new HVAC system humming efficiently. Principal Williams joined Maya at the main entrance, wearing his biggest smile in years. "First day of school, and the air conditioning actually works. It's a miracle." "It's not a miracle," Maya corrected. "It's what happens when people invest in what matters." Teachers arrived next, many stopping to hug Maya or shake her hand. Ms. Martinez actually cried when she saw her new classroom, fresh paint, new desks, working technology, and windows that actually opened. "The computers arrive next week," Maya told her, "and the smart boards are on order, but at least you have—" "Maya, stop!" Ms. Martinez gripped her hands. "This is already more than we've had in 10 years. You did this. You." As the halls filled with students, Maya made her way to the main office. She had a desk in the corner now. Nothing fancy, just a place to manage the foundation's operations. Her official title was executive director, but most people just called her Maya. The morning went smoothly until second period, when her phone rang. The caller ID showed her father's office. "Maya?" It wasn't her father, but his assistant, Jennifer. "Mr. Rodriguez asked me to inform you that they're holding a press conference at noon. He wanted you to have advance notice." Maya's stomach sank. "About what?" "The Rodriguez Family Educational Initiative. They're announcing partnerships with several Denver schools and—" "I'm sorry, Maya. I thought you should know." Maya hung up, her hands shaking. Even now, on Lincoln's triumphant reopening, her parents couldn't let her have this moment. They had to overshadow it, had to prove their way was better. Everything okay? Principal Williams noticed her distress. My parents are holding a press conference today to announce their own education initiative. Williams's face hardened. On opening day? That's not a coincidence. No, Maya agreed. It's not. She threw herself into the day's activities, trying to ignore the sick feeling in her stomach. At lunch, she joined the cafeteria staff, serving pizza to excited students. The new kitchen equipment meant they could actually cook fresh meals instead of just reheating frozen ones. Miss Maya, Deshawn called out from the lunch line. My mom got the job. She starts Monday. Small victories. Maya held onto them like life preservers. At noon, unable to resist, she streamed her parents' press conference on her phone. They stood before a podium at the Four Seasons, surrounded by city officials and media. Elena spoke smoothly about strategic philanthropic investment and sustainable educational support systems. Marcus announced partnerships with 5 schools, all on the wealthy side of town, all already well-funded. We believe in responsible giving, Elena said, looking directly at the camera. In careful planning and proven results, not impulsive gestures driven by emotion rather than data. Maya turned off the stream. Around her, Lincoln High buzzed with life. Students laughing, teachers teaching, possibility humming in the air. This was her answer to their cold charity. Not data or strategy, but human connection. After lunch, she was called to the computer lab, where Walter Morrison's nephew was setting up the Wi-Fi network. We've got a problem, he said. The existing wiring is shot. We need to rewire the entire 3rd floor. How much? Maya asked, already dreading the answer. $15,000 minimum, and it needs to be done before the new computers arrive or they'll be useless. Maya did quick mental math. They had exactly $3,200 left in the discretionary fund. The corporate sponsorships were tapped out. Her personal accounts were empty. I'll handle it, she said with more confidence than she felt. That afternoon, local news vans appeared outside Lincoln High. Reporters wanted Maya's response to her parents' initiative. She gave them nothing, slipping out the back door when the final bell rang. At home, Rosa was cooking dinner, the small kitchen filled with the scent of mole. Maya collapsed at the kitchen table, exhaustion finally catching up with her. The news showed your parents, Rosa said carefully. Very fancy event. They're trying to humiliate me, Maya said, to show everyone that their way is better. Cold corporate charity instead of this. And is their way better? Maya thought of Ms. Martinez's tears, of Deshawn's relief about his mother's job, of hundreds of students walking into a building that finally worked. No, but I'm out of money, Abuela. I need $15,000 for electrical work, and I have no idea where to find it. Rosa stirred the pot thoughtfully. You know, when your grandfather and I came from Mexico, we had nothing. But in our neighborhood, when someone needed help, everyone contributed. $1 here, $5 there, it added up. Crowdfunding? Maya sat up straighter. Maya sat up. But I've asked for so much already. You've asked corporations and foundations. Have you asked the people? That night, Maya created a simple online campaign. Help Lincoln High light up learning. She set the goal at $15,000, wrote honestly about the electrical needs, and shared it on the school's social media pages. Within an hour, the first donation came in. $5 from a Lincoln student working at McDonald's. The message read, "For the school that's giving me a chance." By morning, the campaign had raised $2,000. Donations ranged from $1 to $100, each with a story. Alumni from across the country, parents scraping together what they could, even teachers contributing despite their modest salaries. Maya arrived at school to find a local news crew already there, but this time they weren't looking for drama about her parents. They wanted to cover the crowdfunding campaign. In less than 12 hours, the reporter said to the camera, the Lincoln High community has rallied once again. While some practice philanthropy from boardrooms, Maya Rodriguez has inspired giving from the heart. The comparison to her parents' approach wasn't subtle. Maya's phone buzzed with a terse text from her mother. Stop grandstanding. She ignored it, focusing instead on the students streaming past. Several pressed crumpled bills into her hand. Their lunch money, she realized. She tried to refuse, but they insisted. You gave us a school, one junior said. Let us help keep the lights on. By third period, something extraordinary was happening. The campaign went viral. Her Light Up Lincoln began trending locally. A Denver Broncos player shared it. A local tech CEO pledged $5,000. Small businesses offered matching funds. During lunch, Maya watched the total climb past $10,000. Students gathered around her phone, cheering each new donation. It wasn't about the money anymore. It was about ownership. This wasn't just her project now. It belonged to everyone. Maya Rodriguez to the main office. The intercom crackled. She found Principal Williams with a visitor, an elderly man in a worn suit, clutching an envelope. "This is Harold Chen," Williams said, Mr. Chen's grandfather. The man's eyes were bright with emotion. "My grandson told me what you've done here, how you've saved the school." He pressed the envelope into Maya's hands. "My wife taught here for 30 years. She passed last spring, but she would have wanted this." Inside was a check for $3,000 and a note. "For the young woman who understands that schools are built on love, not just money. The Chen family." Maya couldn't speak through her tears. Harold Chen patted her shoulder gently. "She always said Lincoln High was special because it had heart. You've given it back its heartbeat." By the end of the school day, the campaign had exceeded its goal, reaching $18,000. The extra funds would go toward the computer lab. Maya stood in the main hallway, watching students head home, their chatter filling the space with life. Her phone rang. This time, it was her father directly. "Congratulations," he said, his voice clipped. "You've turned charity into a circus." "I've turned a community into a family," Maya countered. "Something you'd understand if you ever stayed long enough to be part of one. We're setting up sustainable systems. You're throwing money at buildings that don't need it to prove a point," Maya interrupted. "I'm saving a school that serves kids who have nowhere else to go. Kids like I was." Silence stretched between them. Finally, Marcus spoke. "Your mother wants to know if you're coming to Thanksgiving." Maya almost laughed. They'd missed 18 years of holidays and now they wanted to play family? "I'll be serving dinner at Lincoln High. We're opening the cafeteria for families who can't afford Thanksgiving. You're welcome to volunteer." She hung up before he could respond. As the building emptied, Maya walked through the halls one more time. In the computer lab, electricians were already at work, rewiring for the future. In Ms. Martinez's room, students had left thank you notes on the new desks. The gymnasium echoed with basketball practice, the first of the season. "Still think you're crazy?" Principal Williams asked, joining her inspection. "Maybe," Maya admitted, "but it's a good kind of crazy." Her phone buzzed with a notification from the crowdfunding page. A new donation had come in, $50,000 from Anonymous. The message read, "From someone who wishes she had been brave enough to choose love over ambition. Use it well." Maya stared at the screen, recognizing her mother's writing style despite the anonymity. It wasn't an apology, not really, but it was something. As she locked up for the night, Maya realized the building felt different, not just because of the repairs and fresh paint, but because of what had happened within these walls. A community had claimed ownership. Students had invested their lunch money. Teachers had seen their work valued. Families had come together. Her parents had tried to diminish her work by contrast, but they'd only highlighted the difference between charity given from distance and love given up close. Their millions would help, certainly, but they would never create what Lincoln High had become, a place where everyone belonged, where everyone mattered, where everyone had a stake in success. "Ready to go home?" Rosa appeared, car keys in hand. Maya looked back at the building one more time. 3 months ago, she'd stood here in cap and gown, feeling abandoned and alone. Now she stood in work boots and jeans, surrounded by a community that had chosen her as much as she'd chosen them. "I am home," she said simply. As they drove away, Maya's phone lit up with messages. Walter Morrison had ideas for the vocational training wing. Ms. Martinez wanted to discuss the after-school tutoring program. Deshawn's mother had suggestions for the parent volunteer committee. The work was far from over. It was just beginning. But tonight, Lincoln High stood proud against the Denver skyline, every window intact, every room ready for learning, every brick mortared with hope. Maya Rodriguez had bought more than a building. She'd invested in futures, created a legacy, and found her family. Her parents' skipped graduation had led to this. 100 small graduations every day, as students walked through doors that stayed open because someone had decided they were worth saving. Sometimes the best revenge wasn't revenge at all. It was transformation. It was taking abandonment and turning it into abundance, taking absence and filling it with presence, taking a broken heart and using it to fix broken systems. Lincoln High would never be just a school again. It was proof that love could be more powerful than money, that showing up mattered more than showing off, and that sometimes an 18-year-old girl with a broken heart and a stubborn spirit could change the world, one student, one teacher, one donated dollar at a time. The lights of Lincoln High glowed warm in the rearview mirror as Maya headed home with her grandmother, ready for tomorrow's challenges, tomorrow's victories, tomorrow's chance to prove that the best investment anyone could make was in each other. The building had been bought, but the real purchase, the community's faith, the students' futures, the teachers' dedication, that was priceless. and it belonged to everyone who had ever walked those halls and called Lincoln High home. 2 years had passed since Lincoln High's rebirth. Maya stood in the new vocational training wing, watching students work on a construction project with Morris & Company supervisors. At 20, she looked older, not in years, but in the quiet confidence that came from battles fought and won. The foundation board meeting is in an hour. Her assistant, Carmen, Deshawn's mother, reminded her. The quarterly reports are ready. Maya nodded, still observing the students. Among them was Terrell Jackson, a senior who'd been one failed class away from dropping out before the vocational program gave him purpose. Now he was heading to trade school with a full apprenticeship lined up. Her phone buzzed. Another interview request, this time from 60 Minutes. The story of Lincoln High had spread nationally. The school saved by a teenager's determination had become a model for community-driven education reform. Maya declined the request, as she had all the others. The work mattered more than the publicity. Maya! Principal Williams appeared in the doorway, his face serious. We need to talk. In his office, he handed her a letter. The Denver School Board was considering replicating the Lincoln model at 3 other struggling schools. They wanted Maya to consult. You've built something extraordinary here, Williams said. Maybe it's time to think bigger. Maya set down the letter. Lincoln still needs me. We're just getting the arts program established, and the mental health services are… Lincoln has a full staff now, Williams interrupted gently. An engaged parent committee. Corporate partners. You've built systems that don't require you to work 18-hour days anymore. He was right, though Maya struggled to admit it. The foundation ran smoothly, with dedicated staff managing daily operations. The building improvements were complete. Programs were thriving. She'd worked herself out of a job, exactly as intended. That evening, Maya sat in the renovated auditorium, watching rehearsal for the fall musical. The drama program, once cut for budget reasons, now flourished with new lighting, sound equipment, and a dedicated teacher. Students who might have never discovered their talents were singing, dancing, creating. Mind if I sit? Maya froze at the familiar voice. Elena Rodriguez stood in the aisle, looking uncertain in a way Maya had never seen. Her usual designer suit was replaced by simple slacks and a cardigan. It's a public building, Maya said carefully. Elena sat 2 seats away, leaving space between them like a chasm of unspoken words. They watched the rehearsal in silence for several minutes. I've been coming to the shows, Elena said finally. Not when you're here, but I've seen every production for the past year. Maya's throat tightened. Why? Because I finally understood what I missed. Elena's voice was quiet. Not just your graduation. Everything. Every concert, every game. Every moment that mattered. On stage, a freshman forgot her lines. The drama teacher gently coached her through it, and the girl beamed when she got it right. Such a small moment, but Maya knew it would stay with that student forever. I came to apologize, Elena continued. Not for your father. He's still too proud. But for myself. You were right. We gave you money, but not presents. Resources, but not love. Mom, Maya began, then stopped. The word felt foreign after so long. That anonymous donation, it wasn't the only one. I've been donating monthly, watching what you've built. Elena pulled out a worn newspaper clipping. Maya's graduation speech. I've read this 100 times. Showing up is love. I never showed up. Maya saw tears on her mother's face, something she'd witnessed only once before, at her grandfather's funeral. I retired, Elena said suddenly. 6 months ago. Shocked everyone, including your father. But I woke up one day and realized I'd built an empire but lost my daughter. The empire suddenly seemed worthless. They sat in heavy silence, years of hurt and absence filling the space between them. I don't know how to fix this, Elena admitted. I don't know if it can be fixed. But I wanted you to know that I see it now. What you've done here. Who you've become despite us. Because of who you are. Maya watched the students on stage, thinking of all the moments of grace she'd witnessed in this building. Teachers forgiving repeated failures. Students helping struggling peers. Communities coming together despite differences. I volunteer here on Tuesday mornings, Maya said finally. Reading with elementary kids who bus in, if you wanted to help. Elena's eyes widened with surprise and hope. I'd like that. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet. But it was a beginning. After Elena left, Maya walked through the halls, each space holding memories. The computer lab where she'd taught seniors to code. The cafeteria where she'd served countless meals. The gymnasium where she'd cheered until her voice was hoarse at basketball games. Her phone rang. Walter Morrison's voice boomed through. You see the news? That tech company downtown wants to partner with our vocational program. They're talking full-ride scholarships for our kids. More success. More growth. More proof that the Lincoln model worked. Maya found herself in the conference room where the foundation board would meet tomorrow. The walls displayed photos from the past 2 years, students accepting college admissions, teachers winning excellence awards, parents at literacy classes, community members at weekend programs. You built something beautiful, mija. Rosa entered, moving slower than 2 years ago, but still insisting on her weekly volunteer shifts in the library. We built it, abuela. All of us. See, but you lit the match. Rosa settled into a chair. Now the fire burns on its own. So what comes next? Maya had been avoiding the question for months. The school board wanted her expertise. Universities had offered her positions developing community engagement programs. Even some of her parents' former colleagues had reached out, intrigued by her innovative funding models. I don't know, Maya admitted. Lincoln is home. Home isn't a building, Rosa said gently. It's what you carry inside. The love you learned here, the community you created, that goes with you. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She walked through Lincoln's empty halls one more time, touching lockers, peeking into classrooms. In the main office, she found a box of letters, thank you notes from students and parents, accumulated over 2 years. She'd saved everyone. Dear Ms. Maya, one read, because of you, I didn't drop out. I graduate next month, first in my family. Miss Rodriguez, another said, my daughter loves school now. She says the building feels like it cares about her. The decision crystallized as she read. Lincoln High would always be her first love, her proof that community investment could transform education. But there were other Lincolns out there. Other schools full of forgotten students, tired teachers, communities ready to rally if given the chance. The next morning, the foundation board meeting buzzed with energy. Financial reports showed steady growth. Program metrics exceeded all projections. Lincoln High had become a model of sustainability. I have an announcement, Maya said as the meeting concluded. I'll be transitioning my role here over the next 6 months. Shocked faces stared back at her. Lincoln doesn't need me to survive anymore, she continued. It needs me to let it soar on its own. There are other schools that need what we've learned here. The discussion that followed was emotional, but ultimately supportive. Plans formed for her successor, Ms. Martinez, who'd become assistant director while still teaching. The systems Maya had built would continue, strengthened by the community's investment. After the meeting, Maya stood outside Lincoln High, watching students stream through the doors. Deshaun, now a college sophomore on break, stopped to hug her. Heard you're leaving us, he said. My mom told me. Not leaving, Maya corrected. Graduating. He grinned. Yeah, I guess you finally got your ceremony, huh? The one that matters. That afternoon, 3 school principals contacted Maya. Word had already spread. The girl who'd bought her high school was ready to help others do the same. Not with billions, but with blueprints for community investment, sustainable funding, and transformative love, her father called that evening. They'd barely spoken in 2 years. I heard about your decision, Marcus said stiffly. The consulting work, it's impressive. Thanks. Your mother says she's been volunteering. She has. Silence stretched between them, stretched. Years of distance condensed into dead air. I was wrong, he said suddenly. About all of it. The building, the investment, the priorities. A pause. About you. Maya gripped the phone, unprepared for this. I won't pretend I understand it, Marcus continued. This need to save everyone. But I can see the results. You've done something I never could. You've made money serve love instead of the other way around. Dad, I'm proud of you, Maya. I should have said it years ago. Should have shown up to see why Lincoln mattered. I'm sorry. After they hung up, Maya sat in her small office, overwhelmed. The girl who'd stood at graduation with empty seats reserved for her parents now had their apologies, their recognition. But more importantly, she had an auditorium full of spiritual family. Every student who'd passed through Lincoln's doors, every teacher who'd stayed late, every community member who'd invested hope. 6 months later, Maya packed up her office. The walls were bare, but the building hummed with life. The vocational program had expanded. The arts thrived. Test scores had risen. But more importantly, so had spirits. Her last day coincided with graduation. Principal Williams insisted she sit on stage with the faculty. We have a special recognition, he announced after the diplomas were distributed. 2 years ago, a young woman stood on the stage and declared that showing up is love. Then she showed up every day to prove it. The auditorium erupted as Maya was called forward. Students, parents, teachers, her true family, stood in ovation. In the crowd, she spotted her parents. Both of them. Elena clutched Marcus's arm, tears streaming down her face. They'd shown up. Lincoln High saved me, Maya said. her voice strong despite her emotions. When I felt abandoned, these halls caught me. When I felt worthless, these teachers showed me my value. I bought this building, but you all bought into each other. That's the real investment. She looked at the graduates, seeing herself 2 years ago, uncertain, hurt, but ready to transform pain into purpose. You're graduating into a world that will try to tell you that success means leaving others behind, that wealth means hoarding resources, that winning means someone else loses. She paused. But you've learned differently here. You've seen what happens when a community invests in itself. Take that with you. Build it wherever you go. As she left the stage, graduates reached out to touch her hand, hug her, thank her. The ceremony continued, but Maya slipped outside, needing air. Rosa waited by the entrance, holding a small wrapped gift. What's this? Open it. Inside was a photo. Maya at 18, standing in front of Lincoln High the day the sale was approved, surrounded by students and teachers. But it wasn't the image that made her cry. It was the frame, engraved with, "Home is not where you are from. It is where you belong. You belonged here when you needed to," Rosa said. "Now you belong everywhere someone needs what you can give." A horn honked. Walter Morrison leaned out his truck window. "You ready? That school in Pueblo won't save itself." Maya laughed, wiping her tears. Tomorrow, she'd drive to Pueblo to meet with another struggling school. Next week, she'd be in Aurora. By month's end, she'd have consultations scheduled across Colorado. But tonight, she stood outside Lincoln High School, her first love, her greatest teacher, her truest home, and felt complete. The building rose solid against the setting sun, no longer tired, but triumphant. Inside, graduates celebrated with families, their futures bright with possibility. "Thank you," Maya whispered to the building, to the memories, to the girl she'd been who'd turned rejection into redemption. Then she climbed into Walter's truck, ready to help other communities discover what Lincoln had taught her, that the best investment wasn't in buildings or budgets, but in believing that every child deserved a place to belong. The school she'd bought had bought her back 100-fold, in purpose, in family, in the knowledge that love, when invested wisely, generated returns beyond any banker's wildest dreams. Lincoln High grew smaller in the rearview mirror, but it would never truly be behind her. It lived in every school she'd helped save, every community she'd helped rally, every forgotten kid she'd helped remember they mattered.